Groups. I'm PJ and I'm super excited for what God has in store for us tonight. Over the next several weeks, we're going to be in a series called The 40 Before. And in this series, we're going to be talking about the last days of Jesus' life up to his death on the cross. Tonight, we begin with a meal. And as I begin this talk, I invite you to help yourself to the food items on the table. You'll find unleavened or flat bread, fruit, and some other items, and I want you to enjoy them as we talk. The disciples are gathering around the table also. Their table looks a little different than the one that you have in the room with you tonight. It's not made of plastic and metal, and it's way shorter than the one you have. This wooden table that they're sitting around was only about 18 inches high and surrounded by pillows where the disciples could just lounge around while they ate together. I'm sure you're feeling pretty happy right now. I mean, it's not every week that you get to sit around a table and eat during your life group. And the disciples were pretty happy too. This was a meal of celebration. It was a time to begin the Passover. Much like we celebrate the 4th of July as our Independence Day, Jews celebrate the time that the spirit of death fell on Egypt as a plague, yet passed their homes because the blood of pure lambs that they had placed over their doors. They were freed from their captivity. They were no longer slaves. Here, as the disciples sit and enjoy food in celebration of one of the times of independence, they're also pumped because Jesus, who they believe to be their Savior, is getting ready to free them from Rome's control. Yes, he's talked to them about his death before, but they've skirted around that in their minds. To them, their Savior is going to free them from their current situation. So the mood is kind of ruined when Jesus again tells them that he's going to die. Can you imagine? This guy that you followed for the last 3 years of your life, believing that he's going to free you from bondage, tells you that he's really not freeing you from any current physical situation, but instead a spiritual one. In explaining his death, Jesus broke some of the bread and he passed it around. He told them that this was a symbol of his body. He passed the wine and he told them this was a symbol of his blood, that they were to do this in the future in remembrance of what was to come. In a moment, you're going to take this communion together. While communion can be taken at your home or just individually, there is real significance in participating in it together. Jesus didn't have the disciples one at a time come into a room and have a talk with them and tell them to take communion. He pulled them all together over a meal, and he shared what was to come, and he asked them to remember him and this event together. So as you pass the bread and juice in a moment, instead of just blindly putting them both in your mouth and moving on, I want you to look around the room. Watch everyone take each item. Think about how they're your brother or sister in this family of God. Think about how awesome it is that God gave you all of these people in your life to help support you, to build you up, encourage you, and to love you. We're not a lone wolf in this Christian life. We are the body of Christ together. Jesus' sacrifice has had the power to save us all. Once everybody gets the bread and your juice has been dipped, take just a moment in private reflection. Close your head or your eyes and bow your head and think of Jesus dying for you. Thank him for the breath that you have even in this moment because of his sacrifice. And thank him for loving you. Your life group leader will close with a prayer, and then you can eat your bread and your juice. Go ahead now and begin passing the items.